much in the U.S. and clear skies here. I don't even have a time lapse to show you, so I'll just have to give you these, show you the sunset here. And there's the satellite picture right there, and showing a little bit of that troughing out to the northeast U.S. and the Great Lakes area. We've got a large upper level low in this area, so we'll be seeing that on the upper air chart. And behind that, we've got a northwesterly flow coming in aloft. But there's not much cold air up there. If we take a look at the surface temperatures, you see we do have that cold front coming southward through the plains, but behind it lots of 20s and 30s. And we go up into the Canadian prairies, 30s and even 40s up in the Edmonton area. And that's probably getting a little bit close to all-time highs in that region. So 46 there at Edmonton, and just 40s all through here. And you can see that downslope flow coming off the Rocky Mountain region in this area right here. And even up in Northwest Territories, we can see there are some bad data plots up here. That one's bad. But I do see a few 30s in here, a little bit of freezing rain, and those temperatures are pretty mild for this time of year. So what were the actual temperatures? Here's the high temperatures for today. Pretty much just lots of 40s and 50s for the U.S., except up in the Great Lakes area where we've got some 20s and 30s up in that area. So a pretty nondescript weather pattern. This is the upper level chart here, showing that northwesterly flow building in. And I've talked a little bit about your troughs. And when you have a trough and a little bit of a ridge downstream, you're going to have a front in between those. So the question is, what do you have upstream from a trough up to the upstream ridge? Well, you don't have a front in there, but you do have high pressure. So that's where you're going to find the baroclinic high. So we're going to maybe look for that on the surface chart, see if that's in there. At least, at the very least, we're going to see a ridge through that region. And you can see that's pretty much right underneath the high pressure, right underneath the jet stream, about halfway downstream from the ridge and the downstream trough. Then off the Pacific coast, here's the ridge and here's the upstream trough, and this is where we're going to find the next frontal system affecting the Pacific coast, and that'll probably take aim on British Columbia right there. Well, we can check out the soundings. That'll give us something to look at during this weather drought. I'll try pulling up Fort Worth. Don't have any data for there. So I'll try Oklahoma City. So I think we're probably getting some bad plots here from University of Wyoming. So in that case, we're going to switch over to UCAR. Seems like a lot of data feeds tend to go down over the weekend. Probably not people around to restart the computers. Okay, let's see. I can't quite bring the frame up high enough, so I'm going to switch the window. I'm going to lower it a little bit. Let me do that real quick. There we go. Okay, so we've got the Norman, Oklahoma sounding here. And this is showing a pretty steep lapse rate near the surface. Kind of a mild pattern here with temperatures near 50. Then we do have some cold air aloft, some fairly steep lapse rates, but very dry in here, and only a little mid-level area of clouds. So we would probably see a little bit of altocumulus there in Oklahoma. And we see a lot of northerly flow there in Oklahoma. So at Fort Worth, we're going to see pretty much the same thing. Looks like a fairly cold sounding up in the mid-levels and a very low tropopause. That's probably about 27,000 feet above the ground. And let's see, maybe we can try Jacksonville, Florida. They've got a little bit of shower activity going on there. Lots of mid-level cloud there at Jacksonville, but not much moisture. So we're looking at dew points there in the 30s. At Jacksonville, a little bit of westerly flow, so they've probably got a little bit of just disruption to that tropical feed of air. Moisture not much better at Tampa. Cape Kennedy also very dry. And also pretty dry there at Miami. So even in Florida, not a whole lot going on, but there is some pretty good humidity up there. And as a result, we are seeing some showers in that region. There we go. So that's going to be mostly elevated activity there. And you can see doesn't look like any strong cells embedded in that. Okay, let me take a look at the chat, see what's going on here. Looks like a pretty quiet night there too. And audio is good. My voice is pretty low. Okay. Let me know if y'all are noticing that also. Let me take a look at my meter here. See if anything might be going on. All of my levels, they actually look pretty high. I don't see any problems here. Well, I'll try taking it up just a tiny bit more, but if y'all are noticing this, I'll have to look at my settings. If I sound fine to you, let me know that also. Okay, Jeff Lockwood mentioning those two decks of clouds have been coming Florida's way all day. Sounding show it. Aviation at Tampa, 8,000 overcast all day and 53 degrees. And Ron checking in there from Southern California. Dew point 35, according to Weather Viewer. Where are you, Weather Viewer? I have to write that down for my notes here. In fact, let me open up my file here that's got my notes. Okay, weather viewers in Tampa. Got a few viewers down there. I know Jeff Lockwood there is in Tallahassee. And little Jim Cagney, haven't seen him on in a while, but he's in LaGrange, Georgia. Okay, so that's what's going on there in Florida. We'll take one last look at those showers on the soundings. And so this will be the air mass out ahead of those showers here. So you see, it looks like a little bit of mid-level moisture. And some little bit of maybe moist adiabatic lapse rates in that, so we can get some, probably a little bit of shower activity in that. And we also may have some symmetric instability in there. That might be something to cover for another webcast. You tend to see those just north of frontal boundaries, often in Florida this time of year. Let's see what kind of pattern Florida is under right now. Yeah, it looks like a front has come through there. We see northerly winds. Front pretty much all the way down to Cuba at this point. Okay, we'll take a look at the upper air chart. This is 500 millibars. We'll set that on the current pattern. So we're looking at a hemispheric plot here. And you can kind of see the jet stream working all the way around the hemisphere. The main polar vortices at this time, they're over the Taimyr Peninsula of Russia up into the Franz Joseph Islands. Also another vortex over Quebec and Labrador. And if I round that, draw a pen mark around that, That's pretty much where the core of the polar air is at this time. Okay, Europe, they're under a trough. I don't think we have too many viewers in Europe. I did get a Skype request from Ukraine, so maybe we have a viewer in that area. So Ukraine's going to be right in that region. We might have to look at Europe if things remain boring like this for a while. But yeah, you can see the northwesterly flow there across the U.S. And probably our next weather maker is going to be off the coast here with this cutoff low off the coast. So you can see it making some headway towards California, and it'll be coming up on the coast by around the 4th and 5th. Okay, probably a good time to just go ahead and head into the forecast. So here's the GFS panel. Starting out with the current conditions, you can see a pretty good block of cold air across the northeast U.S. here. And right there, that's going to be the edge of the core of that cold air, 510 decameter all the way down to Lake Superior and central Ontario right there. And you can see a little bit of lake effect snows coming off Lake Superior, Michigan, Huron, all that right there. And as you go southwest, it rapidly warms up, and we get into our 40s and 50s here. Then we've got this Great Basin high parked across the western U.S., a lot of cold air trapped in the valley regions there. And I understand they've been going through some very cold weather there, and I was reading some stories there about the animals, the elk and deer herds. They're having trouble foraging due to all the snow cover on the ground, keeping all that covered up. And the forestry services have had to go out there and actually feed them. So we're going to be under this pattern for a while for the webcast tomorrow. Going into Sunday, doesn't look much different at all. You can see a little bit of a warm front working across the Dakotas. Right there. So we're going to have another boring day for the webcast tomorrow, but then for Monday, we start bringing in this Alberta Clipper through the Great Lakes area. So the frontal systems are going to be kind of set up like that, coming through the Chicago, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis area. That'll move quickly through the Great Lakes region. Then for Tuesday's webcast, that's going to affect New York and Pennsylvania. Then we start developing another frontal system out in the Pacific Northwest along this tail end right here. So a little bit of weather there for Washington and Montana. And we see that shift into Wyoming over Thursday and Friday. And then we start picking up a little bit of action on the Pacific coast here. Things getting active there in California. Some snow in the higher elevations there Friday going into Saturday. Then it looks like we get a bit of a backdoor front here in Texas, and things start getting a little active around Sunday the 5th. So here's what the fronts are going to look like on Sunday. Starting to bring up some moisture up from the Gulf. This is kind of a Gulf return pattern setting up on the Texas coast. And consequently, we get some showers developing there in East Texas, Arkansas, and the Memphis area here. It's like another cold pattern going into the first week of February. Looks like a little bit active there in the Pacific Northwest, a few showers coming in. We have this system here developing in Mississippi. Let me see if I can bring that out. There you go, right there. So we have a new system coming in on Friday the 10th, and that'll work through the southern U.S. the 11th and 12th. And that's probably all we got for the next week or two. So might have to start looking at maybe doing some workshops here for our nightly webcast over the next couple of days. I'm going to give that some thought and see if there's any material we might want to go over. Maybe a good time to introduce sounding basics, something like that. Y'all have to let me know if you have any preferences, what you want to do. Okay, I was thinking I would probably bring up Skype. Why don't we do that, see if that is working. So I'm going to activate that here real quick. Give me just a second. So we can probably take a couple calls if anybody wants to try connecting. And I'm anticipating we may get a little bit of echo in here. There's going to be some bugs I'm going to have to work out with this, but we'll get there, and I'll probably test this with some family members and see if we can get that working. Okay, let me take a quick look at the Canadian chart. Canadian has been pretty much in line with the GFS, and you can see the Canadian system coming southward on the 31st through the 1st. There it goes through Illinois into Minnesota and Iowa, or Missouri and Iowa. And that'll move quickly into New York on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we see that Pacific Northwest system developing. Looks like the GFS, or the Canadian model, going a little bit weaker with that, but also bringing in this system into California here. Okay, let's see if we can bring up Theodore's call. Okay, Theodore, do we have you on here? Got to kill the audio. Oh, very good. Where are you calling from? All right. Yeah, I got some family members out there in the Castroville area. Very good. So it's been kind of cold there the past day or two. '70s, yeah, a little bit of a warm-up. All right, very good. Well, I appreciate you calling in, and you take care, and maybe we'll see you next time around. All right, very good. Okay, let me know if any of you were able to hear that conversation okay. Again, we're just kind of testing out the Skype here and seeing if we can get that working in case we have a severe weather outbreak. We're probably going to want to take some calls on that and have some fun with that and see what we can do with this audio stuff. Michael Burrell says he couldn't hear the caller, just me. Oh, that's too bad. Could not hear Theodore, very faint. Okay. Well, it looks like I'm going to probably go ahead and just work out some of these issues tomorrow afternoon, and we'll get this up and running. But Theodore was letting us know it was in the 30s this morning, but they're getting a little bit of a warm up there, maybe up to 70s the next day or two. All right. I think I'm probably going to be about done here. Like I said, I'll think up some ideas for a workshop here, and we'll try to have something fun for you for tomorrow's webcast. Anyway, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.